Alice.
Okay, this is Alice.
Yeah, it's Alice.
And this is Elsie, and this is their roadmap to success. Now, Elsie is a puppy. She's going to take our puppy class, and that's going to help a lot. Alice gets, the guardian lets her up on the table as a way to get away from Elsie. So I'm going to go over kind of a summary of what we went over in this session, and I'm going to kind of do it a little bit differently. I'm going to try to give you a day-by-day sort of thing so you have stuff you can work on. So the very first thing I want you to do when you watch this, well, before you watch this, I want you to go to Amazon. Well, actually, I'll text you a link. I want you to order 2 of the playpens. These are called X pens, and I want you to get the one that's going to be about $85 for one section. I want you to get 2 of them. I want you to clear all the stuff out of your, except for the couch and the cabinet, but all the boxes and all the rest of that stuff out of the upper room right there by your kitchen. Make sure you get rid of stuff on the wall. So basically, you can kind of position it whatever directions you want. It's bendable, and there's pivot pins that go down it. So you want to create an area and make sure to put the gate on the side that you can get into. So basically, I also want you to go to Lowe's or Home Depot, get some PVC pipe about maybe about that big around, and the thin one. Don't get the one that's super thick because you won't be able to cut it. You're going to cut it on one side, so it's going to be like a C. And you're going to take it and you're going to put it on the top of that. You're going to have to cut it into little sections, especially where the gate is. Otherwise, she's big enough, she can normally climb out of it. So what she's going to be able to do is she's going to try to get up there, but she's not going to be able to get a grip. Once she climbs out of it, she'll continue to climb out of it. So it's really important when you set it up to have that PVC pipe from day one. Now I want you to go to Amazon or Chewy, and I'd like you to get at least 20 toys, a variety of toys. A rope toy, a bunch of nylobones. Nylobones should be rigid, and they come in other shapes besides the fake bone. I have one that's like a forearm, I have one that looks like a turkey leg, I have one that looks like a Tyrannosaurus, I have one that looks like a donut. They can also come in flavors. So get different shapes, sizes, and flavors. And I also like you to get at least 2 antlers, 2 real bones. And dogs can't have bones that have been cooked, but they can't have them if they've been boiled. So she needs to set her teeth, so she needs these hard items to chew on. I'd also recommend you get at least 2 water buffalo horns. They are expensive. They will probably, I'm not exaggerating, outlast your dogs. So she has to have a lot of appropriate things to chew on. Now, I would make sure that the toys that are in there are not allowed to leave that area. That makes it even more of an incentive for her to want to go in there. Now, I'm going to text you a link to what we call a long-term confinement area where you can order it, but I want you to follow the steps and watch the video. It's going to explain how to make sure she likes it, which is going to be you and Katie go in there and hang out. She gets bully sticks. Hello, come. Not really ideal on the couch, but yes, passive training. And get those kneecaps. Use that $5 off card. Go to the green spot. Get her a bunch of things that they can chew on that are ingestible. Now, that way you have stuff where you can distract her. Okay, so and don't set that and then also it's carpeted there. Go to Mrs. B's or a place that does vinyl flooring. Ask them for a section and just measure how big the section is. Just get vinyl flooring, just lay it on top of the carpet. And then because she's a big dog, you're probably going to have to get a couple weights. Just go to like Craigslist, see if you can get a couple like 20-pound dumbbells. Put them on either side of the fence or the X pen. So you want to prevent her from getting out. And I would, if you can, brace it up against the couch. Now you might have to get something to prevent the dog from chewing the couch through it. So you might have to put a piece of plywood or something there to prevent her from being able to access it. And she should be, once that's set up, when you cannot supervise her, you go to the bathroom, that's where she goes. If you're going to work or you're running some errands, that's where she goes. She also needs to practice being in there at times when you're home. Now, a dog her size probably is going to sleep about 14 to 18 hours a day. So, and often, just like us, if we don't get her enough exercise or enough sleep, she's going to be cranky. And so if she gets really mouthy and nippy with you, you should walk into the long-term confinement area. She'll probably walk behind you, give her a bully stick or a kneecap, then turn around and close the door behind you. So that's one of the very first things you need to do. All right, the second thing I want you to do is I want you to order some X mats. Those are on Amazon. This is the letter X, M-A-T-S. You can also get them on Chewy. They should be $11 to $13 a piece. I would recommend you get 5 of them for in here. So basically, you put them here anytime that you're not going to be sitting here yourself. You have an X mat. So if it's just you sitting here, there's an X mat in both places. Like, Elsa, I would let you up on the couch, but the X mat's there. What can I do? So you're going to go to the bathroom, you grab it from underneath, you unfold it and put it back where you were sitting. You go to the bathroom and the dog comes up and like, oh, I can't sit there. And then when you come back, you fold it and put it back down. Be religious and very strict about that because every time, remember, consistency is how dogs learn. So every time the dog gets back up here, they get confused. And sitting at the same height as you is one of the ways where we tell the dog we are peers and we're not. So, all right. So you're going to get that, and I want you to not enforce the rule about the couch until you have those. So I go to Amazon and order those today. Order those and the Playgates today. Okay. Once you get those things, then we're going to start. We're going to talk about exercise. If they're naughty, they're playing too high, they're playing too rough, you can't let them play as rough as they want. They're practicing everything they do. So I like to say dogs have 10 levels of energy. 0's asleep, 10's as crazy as the dog gets. Whenever they pass level 5 energy, whether they're out of balance or not, they get an automatic timeout. Now you can give them the timeout with the leash consequence that I showed you, but remember, if we haven't exercised them within an hour, then it's our responsibility to exercise. These dogs are dramatically under-exercised. That is a huge part of what's going on here. So I want you to remember the first time with the stairs, doggy stairmaster, get the treats that they like and do this with an empty stomach. Their stomach can actually tear if it's got food in when they're running around. So at least 90 minutes after eating, after exercising, before they are fed. Or feed them 90 minutes before you exercise them. So with one dog at a time, you put Elsa in the long-term confinement area in the upper deck. Then take Alice and show her that you have a treat. Throw it to the bottom of the stairs. What is the word for the bottom of the stairs?
Frozen.
What is it?
Frozen.
Frozen. And then when they call the dog back up the top of the stairs, give it another treat, and that is Canada or Aspen or Vale or whatever the word is. So frozen means to run to the bottom of the stairs. Aspen means to run to the top of the stairs. So whatever the word is that you want. Oh. So what we want to do is we're going to create a command word for each activity. The first time you do it, I want you to do it with an empty stomach, and I want you to do it until Alice says, you're crazy, I'm not going down there anymore. I've been down there 98 times. Now we know the maximum number. We want to exercise 50 to 75% maximum number. In these dog cases, 3 to 6 times each a day. So if they're naughty, take the dog to the stairs, put Elsa in the long-term confinement, and then fetch Alice. Then put Alice outside or put Alice in the long-term confinement, and then fetch Elsa. I would probably try to keep the long-term confinement, except for the first days, keep Alice out of that. That should be Elsa's area. Okay, when they're not, so I want you to get in a habit of doing that, and it should be every 2 to 4 hours they're getting exercise. Otherwise they're gonna, and if they're naughty or playing too rough, take them there, let them do the exercise, wait for them to calm down, and then let them back to play. So this way we're helping them learn to practice playing a little bit less intensely. Okay, so other things you can do. We're gonna stop free feeding them. I want Katie to go to my website on doggoneproblems.com. I want you to click on where it says dog training tips. There's a search box on the right or the bottom of the page. Type in invisible boundary. That'll show you how to do the kitchen boundary we talked about. But I also want you to type in structured feeding. I would like from now on that you're going to start feeding them in a structured manner, which means that Katie or mom, whoever the adult is feeding them, is going to eat 5 bites of a chip, a cracker, or whatever it is. Then once we get done, then we're going to feed, I would suggest we feed Alice next because Alice is the older dog and better behaved, but that's a marginal better behaved. When Alice is eating, Elsie's not allowed to be in the kitchen. And Elsie, I would actually have eat in her long-term confinement area because that's a nice way to help her like that. So when she's in there, Alice is not allowed to go in there. And I would probably keep the door to that long-term confinement area closed. So if Elsie wants to go in there, you go open and let her in as much as you want, but Alice will try to go in and play with those toys. The toys are going to create a reason for Elsa to want to be in there. So no toys are allowed to be brought out of there. Okay, so when Alice is eating, Elsie's not allowed in the kitchen. And when Elsie's eating, Alice is not allowed to be in the long-term confinement area. And the human is going to eat something in 5 more bites first, chip, cracker, whatever it is. Now, after about a week or so, I'd like you to actually start feeding them out of the snuffle mat. So order a snuffle mat on Amazon and get the big ones. And if they pick it up and run around with it, put a dumbbell on top of that too. Keep them on it. So work the food into there. Remember, eating out of snuffle mat is equivalent to a walk. So we already got 5 up downs on the stairs for each dog. Now we're getting another walk by basically feeding them out of snuffle mat. And also for Elsa, get the large, it's only about this big, of the Omega Paw treat ball, put her kibble in there. She feeds out of toys. I would like, frankly, because she's chewing so much, I would like Elsa not to be fed out of a bowl. I would like her to eat out of snuffle mat exclusively for one meal, and then the other one, the Omega Paw treat ball. Remember to take the Omega Paw treat ball out after it's done. You have to shake like the last 2 pieces out of it, but otherwise she'll rip it open and you have to buy another one. So as soon as she's done, and it makes her, it'll boost, it's draining. That's like a walk. It'll boost her self-esteem. Look where she went.
Disney.
She just went to Disney. See how fast dogs learn? And positive, we didn't use any force or punishment. So basically, the Omega Todd treat ball and the snuffle mat, that's equivalent to a walk. I don't know if, did you talk about scent games?
Did not, no.
Okay, so scent games. Go, and Katie can look this up as well. Go just Google scent games. What it is just hiding treats around the house. Now your house, because of all the stuff that you have, you have a little bit of stuff around, so be careful with that because we don't want them digging through stuff. But just like all it is like there's a treat around the corner of this leg of the table. There's another one around the corner of the fireplace. There's another one right over there. Don't put it under too much stuff. They'll dig through your carpet to get to it. But the idea is every time they lick it up, you say a command word. Like I say hunt, you can say search, find. Have it right there and say crash.
Crash.
Perfect. And so
Crash.
this is a great way. So after a while, you can say hunt. And then Elsa's like, those are 5 treats here? Holy cow. And I'm going to use my nose to find it. That's physically draining for them as well. Now, Katie, do you walk them?
We do usually when the weather is nice, but since the weather hasn't been nice and all that, usually my mom would walk them.
Okay.
But we haven't.
Okay. Well, when the weather's nice, it's a nicer day, and you do want to walk them, remember that they burn more energy from sniffing on a walk than they do from walking. So when I was walking Alice, she was like, sniff, go, sniff, go. So I kind of started stopping, and everywhere that she wanted to sniff, she sniffed it and started walking away. I just stopped and waited there, and then I kind of called her back. After a while, I started crumbling a treat up there, and so she actually came and sniffed. Sniffing is what we want them to do. So instead of thinking I'm going to walk around the block, if I have 10 minutes, I'm going to walk this way. I'm going to walk up the hill and for 5 minutes. And at 5 minute mark, I cross the street and I walk back on the other side of the walk so we have fresh sniffs. You don't care about making around the block. You're just going for duration. So if you only make it 3 houses, that's fine, because that's the goal is the sniffing, not the walking. But again, that doggy Stairmaster is going to be your lifesaver. You're going to use the heck out of it. And again, if they're naughty, that's what I want you to do. But again, each dog minimum 5 times a day on that, and treat it and treat ball and the snuffle mat. I mean, these are 2 things. In your case, this is going to be a game changer for you. Okay, we also talked about enforcing rules. Remember that enforcing a rule is not make you mean. And breaking a rule is a horrible thing to do. It's very confusing for the dog. The confusion leads to frustration. Frustration leads to stress. So if you want to reward the dog, you can do exactly what Katie's doing right now. She's giving a belly rub. You can play with some toys. You can go play fetch. By the way, fetch is a great way to burn energy as well. So what I would do for that is as I throw the ball, I say fetch. When the dog picks up the ball, I say fetch, and I have a treat. And then when Alice came back, I gave her the treat and said fetch. And so that links them all together. That's a wonderful way to burn energy as well. Maybe one of you does the street doggy Stairmaster, the other one does the treat toss or plays fetch. Okay, so the rules should be in place for a minimum. In the perfect world, if everything goes right, 90 days. Almost nobody should be in the 90-day range. It's probably going to be longer than that. And remember, every time they break the rule, you don't go back to 0, but you lose a tremendous amount of your progress. So that's why you use these X-Mats to keep them off of here. Now for the there we go. Now for the Disney, let's talk about that real quick. So they're not allowed in the furniture. So what I want you to do is go to Groupon. Groupon is, I found, one of the best places to get the dog beds. Now, what you can do, I actually just had a dog I had, unfortunately, there's no longer around, but he had accidents. So I went to Lowe's and I got these blue tarps. You know what I'm talking about? Get blue tarps, wrap your dog bed like a present, and then I got Gorilla Glue, Gorilla Tape, and I folded it and I put like 8 sections of it, and it was the dog. So if they're going to chew on it, they'll probably it's plastic. It's not going to feel as good. And I would just repeat the command word just once. If you say it a whole bunch of words, they'll stop listening for it. So I would wrap up the dog bed, but get it at Groupon. Now dog beds should be light cream, white, or light gray, and should have no pattern on them. And I prefer the ones not like, this one has kind of like little divots. I prefer one that's more like a cushion. That way, if you leave the treat on there, like what I showed you, there you're gonna see it. So the first way we do it is with one dog watching, we throw a treat, the dog runs and licks it up. As long as they have 1 or more paw on the treat, on the bed, we say the word Disney. Then we wait for the dog to go away. I had to kind of motion, the dog went away, and then I threw another one. Did that for about 10 treats. Then what I did is I waited for them to get distracted, and I left a treat there. Now it's white, so they could see it right away. As soon as they saw it, they ran over, and I said the word Disney. I did not point it out. Don't point it out. So that's the second way, is you leave treats there when they're away. The third way is I put the dog into a sit or an LAY, and I put the treat in their mouth. And actually, after a while, Elsa was putting herself in a sit. Excuse me, every time I did, I put the treat in her mouth and said the word sit. Or, excuse me, Disney, not sit. Now, these are 3 ways to entice the dog to go there. Now, let's say you're watching TV, and one of them goes there. I would recommend you get one of these. This is a mini treat pouch. You can clip it to your pants, your leggings, your belt. Open this. As soon as the dog goes there, then I throw a treat there. And don't point it out, let her find it on her own. So now, every time I go here, it rains treats. If I'm on the couch, nothing happens like that. But every time I come to this dog bed, good things happen. And I would also, with the dog bed, I would get a giant one, the XL one. One of the things that makes me happiest is seeing all my dogs sit together on the dog bed. And they will eventually kind of hang out there. And if you see them chewing on it, what does that mean? We need to exercise the dog. So any bad behavior, exercise your dog. Your dog's gonna be the best athletes around, but they're gonna be much better behaved. Well-exercised dogs are much better behaved. Okay, so and think about it this way. If you go to a restaurant and you find a $100 bill in the lobby, you're like, I'm in a pretty good mood. Then you go to the next time, you find another $100. After a while, what are you doing? You go in that restaurant, you're looking around for $100 bills. That's what your dogs will do. And we're assigning the command marker of Disney. Now, a couple housekeeping things. Dogs learn through repetition, consistency, and good timing. You have 3 seconds to correct or reward your dog for them to make the connection, but it has to be repeated over and over consistently. Every time you're inconsistent, that slows down the process. Remember, they hear the first word that you say. Not good sit, not good girl, not Elsa sit, just sit. Not go lay down, or crash, or whatever the word is. And also remember, try to come up with fun command words. You guys are probably a little bit stressed, because the dogs are a little bit crazy. So if you come up with, you say crash, and the dogs flop down, and you laugh, that motivates your dogs. And it will cost you a little bit of imagination. You got Katie, who's a wonderful, super creative person. She could probably come up with a lot of cool, funny words. And then every time you tell the dog to do things, and they laugh, you go to Disney, you laugh, they crash, you go to Disney. Meatball is one of the words to eat food, you're laughing. Now the dog's motivated to do those things. So I want you to come up with a list of the official command words. And if either one of you is saying, come here, and Katie's like, vocabulary, David, I'd say, thank you, come. It's not a gotcha, it's a reminder. One-word commands will accelerate their learning dramatically. And nothing wrong with saying good dog, but it doesn't help you. But saying just come when the dog comes does. So right there, pet and say come. And also be careful how you say it, because for dogs, come and come are 2 different command words. We all do it. Now they will usually respond a little bit better to a higher pitched voice, but that also creates excitement, and a lot of times we don't do it all the time. So come. Just say it in a normal tone of voice is what I usually recommend. So every time she comes to you, just say the word come. Okay, another thing. Not saying no, anything you don't disagree with is pretty much the same thing as saying yes. So come. So if you're eating, and you don't disagree when the dog crosses that threshold, that's the same thing as saying I'm okay with it. Now remember also, anything your dog is doing when you pet it is what you're reinforcing, including unbalanced states of mind. Petting a fearful dog, come, will make it more fearful. But petting a dog for coming, a desired behavior, will make the dog more likely to want to do this again. Now, try not to snatch them, because that's kind of part. So right there, pet and say flop.
Flop.
I call flop laying on your side, pancake is on your back, crash is lay down. So they have 3 versions of things that dogs can do. The more things that you teach your dog to do, the more things they can do to earn pets and rewards. Okay, so for the come, what I would recommend, and is it when they're outside or inside, is there a certain place they don't come to you?
No, they come to me whenever I ask.
Okay,
Well, that one does, this one.
Okay, he doesn't, or she doesn't. Okay, so what you want to do is, if you have this with you, every time the dog comes, you pop it open. Come. I didn't ask her to come, but when she came, what happened? Something good. And I marked it by saying the command word. The most important time to say it is when the dog does it. So let's see. Sit, sit. That second time is the most important time to say it, because that's what the dog was doing when I pet it. Remember, I want you to think of everything a dog does as a job. Tell the dog why you're paying it for every single little thing. Eventually say sit, and the dog will sit, or what will happen with the prepaying, like Taylor talked about, the dog will sit to ask for attention. I'm gonna go through the rules really quickly. If you forget what those are, the details on it, message me, and I can send you a long video that kind of explains it. No furniture, 90 days minimum. And you can go down to her level as much as you want. They just can't come up to you. I want you to think of this as the VIP section at your concert. You are the VIPs. You can go anywhere you want. The dogs are the general admission. They're stuck there. You can go to them, but they can't come up to you. That will help the dog see a little distinction between 2 of you. When you're eating, the dog should have to stay outside of a certain boundary. So some people will actually put painter's tape. I would put it probably in the middle of your fireplace where that knob is, straight to your chairs there. And I would say, and then maybe another one from this corner where your frame of your window is to this table leg right there. So this area, if somebody's eating here, the dog's not allowed to be in that area. I would also take another one from this, the edge of this table to about where this corner is. Well, maybe angle it to where this corner is. then go straight there. Now they can go to the dog bed, so the line should be outside the dog bed. They go all the way there and then box it over there. So this area in front of you when you're eating there is off limits. Kitchen is off limits when you're cooking, and use what I just showed you out there. If you forget how to do that, go to doggoneproblems.com, click on dog training tips, type in kitchen or invisible line. It'll teach you, it'll show a video of me doing with another dog, make it easy for you to figure out how to do that. Door, remove the dog door, leave it out. If they want to go outside, they have to sit. You don't want to go outside, they do. So now you have leverage over them. Tell them to sit one time. The more you repeat it, the less you mean it. Go to the door and say, sit. Don't say, can you sit, Elsie? And Elsie say, no, I can't right now. Sit. 1, 2, 3. You don't sit by 3. I walk away, I sit down, and I wait. Come. 1 minute. After 1 minute, go back to the door and command, sit. I would have opened the door right there because she did what I wanted. The smallest thing I'm asking in the dog world is to sit. So as soon as she sits, she gets what you want. But if she does anything else, nothing happens. So at first, if she doesn't sit 1 minute, then sit down and wait 2 minutes. Next time, sit down and wait 4 minutes, and then 8 minutes. Make sure you're seated. And as soon as she sits, when you tell her, Disney, as soon as she sits, then you fly the door open. So after a while, instead of pounding and jumping at the door, which is what they do now, she'll go sit at the door as a way of saying, can I go outside, please? That's a lot more polite. And also won't break your door. Eventually do it in both directions. So now if you're outside, open the door, give her the hand signal or whatever it is. But eventually I'd like her to just do it just from the audio cue only. So I've got a treat in my hand. If she goes to Disney, I'm going to throw this treat as soon as she goes there. And I'm going to move it behind my back so she doesn't remember, it doesn't do it. It doesn't get to it. All right, so other things, Taylor talked to you about petting with a purpose. If she comes up and nudges me like this and I pet her, she told me what to do and I said, yes, you're my boss because I did what you told me to do. So next time she nudges you, sit, sit. Pet her under her chin and pet her as much or as little as you want. So if you want me to pet you, you got to do the smallest thing you can do as a dog and sit. And if you can't be bothered to sit, guess what? I got other things to do. Playing hard to get works great for dating, works great for your dogs. So, but if I pet you, whether you do what you want or not, I'm going to do what I want. Because what's the consequence? Nothing. So remember, good attention, bad attention, same thing. So yelling at her is really not a consequence. So instead, she's going to start realizing, I can't tell the humans anymore. I have to ask them. And better than ask, I have to prepay for it. And I pay for it through a currency of obedience. And she'll start coming and sitting down in front of you to prepay for attention. And when she does that, make sure, almost went there, make sure that you pet her under her chin. Remember, petting under the chin promotes confidence. So pet her under the chin, never pet on top of the head. So when she sits, pet her under the chin and say, oh. She'll find it with her nose. And you're going to say the word. Get ready?
Disney.
Perfect. Also, treat should always go in the mouth first. They should have a command word immediately after, not the other way around. That was a little bit early. That's okay. You'll get it. You'll get better at it. All right. So when the dog does prepay for attention, make sure you pet him. Otherwise, they'll go back to nudging you. Now, if they come and you tell them to sit and you pet a little bit, and then you go back to watch TV and they want more attention, what does that mean? Exercise. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but that's going to solve so many of your problems. So come. All right. So and remember to use the word paycheck. So if somebody comes over and sees that I'm petting and sees that Alice is standing, somebody says paycheck, I would stop petting. Alice, sit. I'd say sit. I'd say, actually, I asked Alice to sit, but when you opened the door, she stood up and I continued petting her. But thank you, because I do forget to pet without a purpose. It's not gotcha. It's a gentle reminder. Even if you did it right, you should stop. Now, what if I just want to pet her? She should still have to sit for it. Still tell her to sit. It's polite. Think of it as just a way of saying please or thank you in the dog world. All right, come. That's passive training. So every time either dog comes to you, pet it and say come. When it sits, pet it and say sit. When it lays down, pet it and say crash. When it lays on its side, say flop. When it goes belly up, call it pancake. Or come up with your own words. Katie, I'm sure, has probably stuff that's a lot funnier than what I'm coming up with. Every time that each one of them eat, come up with a funny command word. I say grub, feast, and lasagna. So whatever your favorite foods, maybe Katie likes chimichangas. So one of the dogs is chimichanga, the other one it's sushi. So every time that Elsie takes a bite of food, she hears the word sushi. Well, when Alice hears sushi, there's no food in her mouth. So after a while, that becomes a command word for one. All right, we'll talk about counter surfing because she's up there. You got to take all the stuff off the counter. Every time that she gets on the counter and gets rewarded, that motivates and it's rewarding and training her to go up in your counter. Now, the more you establish that boundary of keeping them out of the kitchen, the better behaved they're going to be. But again, the dog counter surfs, exercise. I hate to sound like a broken record, but that's really what it is. All right, so passive training is the absolute easiest. So every time they go to the Disney, even if you have a treat, just say the word Disney. Think of all the things you want your dog to do. And you can do weird things. So, every time they name all your individual toys. So come up with a name specific for each toy. Now, all balls can be balls, all bones can be bones. But if you have a little monkey, call it George. If you have a little zebra, call it Stripey or Jack White or whatever you want to do. Well, one word command, white maybe. So the idea is now we have these command words. Now, I'd also like you're using Kongs, which I like, but they're also treat dispensing toys with puzzles. I'd like you to, do you ever fill the Kong up with peanut butter and freeze it?
Oh, not freezing it.
Freezing it will make it last longer. There are all sorts of other puzzle sort of toys. You want to create chew-aholics. Why would I chew on the couch or the Oculus or the C-Pap? That's no fun. But boy, if this Kong has got, what I usually do is take a piece of this chicken liver, drop it in the Kong first, then I put the peanut butter in. So it smells, I'm going to get through that peanut butter to get the juicy little thing at the bottom. Now, these are tricky trainers. I'm going to leave the bag with you. One of them took a bag out of Trailer's bag. It was empty. But these are, you can get these on Amazon. I would order a 15-ounce bag, and I would order a couple of them. Make sure you zip all the air out. They will dry out right away. When you bring her to puppy class, you're going to have a high-value training treat. Something that has a strong smell is the most important thing to dogs. Smell is number one. Temperature is number two. Taste is a distant third. All right, so once you get the long-term confinement area set up, that's when I incorporate the rules. Or that and the X-Mats all at the same time. So every time they're on the couch, you're like, oh, Elsa, you don't even know. This is like the last hurrah for you, baby. So once you get that, day one. So really for the exercise, I want you to start doing that now. And I like, and you can use kibble for that if they'll go for it. And get a little playpen or something for the bottom of the stairs if you need to make sure that they don't go in the down the basement and cause more ruckus. Okay, so day one, I want you to start exercising them more. I want you to start petting with a purpose, and I want you to use passive training and use those paychecks. Now, passive training, we're celebrating the things dog does that we want. So that's the watchword I use for that. So right there, celebrate, pet her. Oh, you missed it. So you got to watch it. Remember, you have the 3 seconds. So after a while, you'll be like, come, sit, crash, pancake, what am I doing? And that's the whole point, is after a while, the dog now knows things that I can do. And like Taylor talked about, her dog, Luca, look at that, went and sat at the door. And so the dog will sit to ask for attention. Now, instead of costing you and do all the rest of that stuff, boom. Okay, so sit once, there you go, and open the door. As soon as and then that gets me out. And close the door. And same, and just say SIT.
Sit.
1, 2, 3. Didn't sit, walk away and sit down. We're not asking anymore 100 times. You do it my way or it's the highway. Come, I can reward you for that. But otherwise, I get out anyways. But you're standing there pacing, so sit down. If you stand, you look like you're waiting for the dog. So wait 1 minute, and she's fine. Look, she don't even really want to go outside. That was awesome. Katie just did a auto celebrate. I love it. So the more that you get in a habit of doing that, pet her for a sit.
Come
So that would be a sit, yeah. But the more you get in a habit of doing these things, the more the dog will do these things for you. Okay, so the escalating consequences are kind of outlined in the video that I talked about, the invisible line or stay out of the kitchen, or just search for kitchen or invisible line on my website, and both of those will come up. I'd also like you to do the look for structured feeding. That's really going to be more for Alice. And the long-term confinement area, she should be fed in there, and she should sleep in there. Sleep in there, fed in there, and anytime you can't pay attention, she goes in there, she gets really mouthy and nippy, that's where you take her. I was going to do a day-by-day thing, but I think that this is enough for you guys to go through. All right, one last little tip for here. You have these blinds, and every time you close the blinds, then you look like a shut-in or you can't see outside, and you want to probably be able to see outside. The dogs are only this high. So what I would like you to do is go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and you can go, they have this paper that's 3 feet tall and as long as you want it. Measure your window. Get a piece of it, put it in there. Is it still recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's make sure.
Basically, you only probably have to do about maybe 2 or 3 feet there, so it'll be about here. So you tape it, and I would put it on the inside of your window because you have an overhang, otherwise I'll scratch it off. So every time I come here and I bark at the dog that's passing in front of the house, I think that as a dog, I made them go, because when I barked, what happened? They left. I don't realize they were walking by anyways. So that rewards and validates it each time. So now, if it's there, we're taller, we can see out if we want to. It allows, it's white paper, so it allows a little light in, it's like a filter. But this way, you don't have to close your blinds. You get to enjoy the sunlight, but the dogs don't get the validation. When I bark, I don't know if they go away or not. So am I barking work or not? Well, remember, barking, any attention from you is validating. So your dogs are barking, ignore that, especially if they're barking at you. Now, for that, you could go over and use the escalating consequences and move them away. But again, if they're barking at the window, what does that mean, Taylor? Exercise. For you guys, if you're in doubt for anything, I want you to do the doggy stairmaster. They're not doing anything, just I don't know what to do. Doggy Stairmaster. I promise you it's going to be a game changer. Come. Okay, well, this is Elsie. Alice.
Alice.
come. And this is Alice, and this is the roadmap to success. That's Katie.
Hello.
And remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it. All right, Katie, can you...
Wait, hold up.
She wants the Elsa.
Bye bye.